I'm Lisa Mullins in Boston. Summer in Maine. Pine trees, beaches, and now white-hot political intrigue. Democrat Graham Plattner's messy departure from the U.S. Senate race in Maine has sparked a frenzied process to replace him on the ticket. And covering that race and a lot more is Alex Seitz-Wald, who is the editor of the Midcoast Villager. He joins us from Camden, Maine. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
So, Alex, you were a national political reporter for NBC and left for a quieter life at a small-town paper, but it is not so quiet after all. National politics has found you again. The primary issue here being, now anyway, that oyster farmer Graham Plattner bowed out of the Senate race last week after somebody he used to date accused him of rape. He denies the accusation. But why is this race a major story nationally?
The number one reason that we're all paying attention to this is Susan Collins. If Democrats want to take back the Senate, they basically have to defeat Susan Collins. So it's not hyperbole to say that the fate of the Senate and therefore control of government and whether Donald Trump and Republicans will continue to retain total control of Washington could all come down to Maine and now this breakneck race to replace Graham Plattner.
So there are 13 candidates who want to take Graham Plattner's place. Tell us who the ones that we should know about are and what they stand for.
So the ones to really pay attention to are the three who had been running for governor and came up short in that Democratic primary. Shanna Bellows, the Secretary of State, Nirav Shah, who was the director of the Maine CDC during COVID. He was on TV all the time, people very familiar with him. And then there's Troy Jackson, who's a fifth-generation logger from Allagash, which is way up in the northern corner of the state by Canada. Really aligned himself with Plattner, but has since distanced himself and said he doesn't want anything to do with Graham Plattner. There really is no moderate option among the leading candidates now. They support Medicare for all. They support putting restrictions on aid to Israel. And they're all positioning themselves to be aggressive fighters against Donald Trump and to join the kind of Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren wing of the Democratic Party.
So this is really happening quite fast. And something else that's been going on, of course, the fatal ICE shooting in Biddeford, Maine, has increased the intensity even more. How are the Democrats, those you mentioned, and others who are running for Susan Collins' seat, responding to the killing by ICE?
Every leading candidate has called for abolishing ICE. The tide has really shifted against ICE and these raids in Maine. In my neck of the woods, there's a little town called Friendship. It's one of the only red towns on the coast of Maine until you get very far north. The owner of the only store in this little town, Friendship, was recently arrested by ICE. And this conservative town rallied for his release. They submitted petitions. They said that the town can't exist without him. So this puts Collins in a really tough place of being forced to talk about national politics, defend national politics, and the White House and the Republican Party.
A bigger picture question to close with here. The state has been so much in the news for the past couple of years. I mean, now because of the election, before because of the deadly shooting in Lewiston, and ICE, of course. How are people feeling? Do things feel as unsettled as they seem from the outside?
People in Maine that I talk to feel very unsettled by all of this, especially in my neck of the woods in Midcoast, these lovely, picturesque little towns where you can kind of forget what decade it is. People are feeling like this is the outside world and reality crashing down on them. And it just shows that there's nowhere in America where you can really escape these nationalized political trends.
That's Alex Seitz-Wald, the editor of the Midcoast Villager based in Camden, Maine. So nice to talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.